What's going on, y'all? Week 4 is in the books. Another horrible week for my team. I'm gonna get into that in a second, but I wanted to give y'all the results from the entire week. Um, Prayers up to a couple players that got injured this week, but let's get right into it, man. If you haven't already, subscribe to the Mechee from the Midwest podcast for your latest NFL updates. Follow me all year. I'll be giving y'all the predictions and the results. I had a great, as far as my team go, we got demolished. I get that. But I won money this week. That's all that matters to me right now. If you don't get the win, at least win the money. You feel me? So I'll get into that in a second. But let's start with the first, the Thursday night game. It was Seattle versus the Cardinals. Seattle kicked the game winner field goal at the end of the game to pull off the win, 23-20 over the Cardinals. Cardinals played with heart, man. They was looking like a solid 2-1 team to start the season off. Marvin Harrison dropped a key pass. He bobbled a key pass and it ended up getting an interception. And I think that after that drive, Seattle was able to score off that drive, but then Cardinals was able to bounce back, and Marvin Harrison was able to get his lick back by scoring. But then he ended up the Cardinals defense just pretty much tapped out. They had some key plays down the line that cost them the game, and Seattle put off the win. Where they are now 3-1. Arizona falls down to 2-2. Next game was the Vikings kicking off 1 p.m. games. No, 9:30 games in, was it Berlin? No, Dublin, Ireland. Dublin, Ireland. It was 24-21. The Vikings and the Steelers. The Steelers had a solid lead on the Vikings this game. Carson Wentz got sacked, I want to say about 4 or 5 times, if I can remember correctly. Um, I think he threw a pick as well, so the turnovers was there. The Steelers defense looked on lockdown. Metcalf had a big game, 100 plus yards on like 5 catches. I think he had like 130 yards or something like that. Justin Jefferson did his thing on the opposite side, but Minnesota just couldn't put it together. The defense looked kind of flat. They played okay in the first half, but the second half they just kind of mellowed out, and still was able to pull off the win, 24-21. Next was the Commanders and the Falcons. The Commanders are still without their stud, Jaden Daniels. He will be out. He was ruled out last week. Marcus Mariota had to step in for him. I know he had a couple of turnovers, maybe a fumble and an interception this game. And I think that played a big role in them losing. But the Falcons came to play, man. Drake London had a nice game. Penix looked good after the bounce back because the week before that he looked pretty terrible. And I was going to say that maybe a couple weeks if he don't figure it out that they was going to throw Kirk Cousins in, but they stuck with Penix Jr. and he pulled off the win at home. Next was the Chargers versus the Giants. This was the debut of Jackson Dart, first round draft pick. I think he went 25th to the Giants, 25th or 24th, something like that. He went in the 20s. He's the second quarterback that came out of the draft, and he looked and played the part. He looked way better than my boy did right now. But I think because the Giants, like you have to consider all parts of the game. If your offensive line looks good and gives your quarterback time to throw the ball, then you can win like that. But if your line is going to crumble as soon as you hike the ball, it puts you in a bad terms out there on that field. But Jackson Dart looked good. He did his thing out there. The Giants defense, that front line did their thing. They got a big interception from one of the linemen. I want to say Dexter Lawrence, the defensive tackle, and he almost ran it back in. He made it to the goal line. It kind of gassed out. Them younger dudes caught up with him. But the defense looked good. Herbert, he played an okay game. He didn't play to the level I thought he would play against a team that was 0-3 at the time. Because Chargers were 2-1 going into this game. The Giants were 0-3, but Giants pulled it off at home. So welcome to the league, Jackson Dart getting his first win as a rookie. Next was the Eagles and the Buccaneers. This game did not have Mike Evans, but the Eagles, no, Godwin made his debut. So I guess you kind of can swap that out. This was Godwin's first game back, but no excuse. The Eagles defense looked good. They played their part. Jalen Hurts played okay the first half. He was able to give 2 touchdowns to Goddard. They also got a fake tush push touchdown to Saquon Barkley later in the quarter. I want to say maybe like the third quarter, something like that. But Buccaneers was pretty much matching what they was putting out. But what happened was Jalen Hurts, the second half, I think they said he attempted like zero passes. So the game that they're playing right now is a dangerous game when it comes to receiver. Yes, you're winning the games. You can run these boys out the gym and stuff, but at some point, those receivers going to want the ball. I've been saying this for quite some time. AJ Brown got on there. Everybody knows AJ Brown. He came from the Tennessee Titans. He was becoming a diva, and it's just like I think like with some of those dudes, it's just become divas. They want the ball. They got the passion for the game. They don't want to just be out there as wide receivers blocking for running backs all day. But you can't really complain if you're just coming off a Super Bowl winning the winning on the biggest stage of them all. You gotta accept what they're doing, but at the same time, it's like, hey, what y'all got me here for? If y'all want me to just keep blocking, I'm gonna get tired of shit eventually. I'm gonna want to get traded somewhere. So I can see AJ Brown getting traded maybe next year or the next year or so. Once if they start losing the games at any time, and it's a key part that he's not getting the ball, I can see him trying to force his way out of Philly. Because, like I said, he already got his championship. It's nothing personal. But some of these dudes don't want their career to just be known as a well-known blocker as a wide receiver. But Eagles pull off the win on the road, 31-25, a good game. Panthers and the Patriots, nothing to see here. Carolina back to their losing ways. I really can't talk about losing ways because my team is one of out of three teams that's winless right now. But Carolina looked horrible on both sides. Bryce Young got pressure put on him the whole game. The Patriots defense is like the old school Patriots defense with Richard Seymour, Willie McGinnis, and all those type of cats out there. But they played pretty good. The old school way, led by Vrabel. Patriots pulled it off 42-13. Next game was the Saints and the Bills. At some point, it looked like the Saints was like they said it was fighting the Bills, but the Bills was kind of toying with them, and they were able to pull off the win. But it wasn't nothing spectacular about this win. This was one of the biggest odd breakers of the day. 31-19 for the Bills. Next game, we had the Browns versus the Lions. Browns defense did as much as they could, but the Lions overpowered them with their offense, led by St. Brown and those running backs, Montgomery and Gibbs, um, Williams and Laporte, led by Goff. Man, it's like they just got too much firepower on offense. If their defense plays somewhat solid and then like putting the pressure on Joe Flacco, you're going to cause turnovers and put you in a great position to score more and get that defense, keep putting that defense on the field. And once they tire it out, you can pretty much have your way with them. But Detroit pulled off the win 34-10. Next was a surprising game. This was Brock Purdy's first game back for the 49ers. He looked okay. He threw a key interception at some point. Jacksonville hanged in there and won 26-21. Brian Thomas Jr. and Travis Hunter, after a while, these couple weeks go by, they're going to start meshing better and playing way better together. And I think that's going to make Trevor Lawrence life a lot easier, having two receivers that he could just take turns throwing to. But Jacksonville pulls it off on the road, 26-21. Next game was a hilarious game because it was a back and forth solid game. The Indianapolis Colts fall to the Rams at home. Well, in Los Angeles, 27-20. What happened in this game? Key thing was the receiver Mitchell on the Colts was running. He broke off from two guys running the touchdown in. I don't remember if like the safety or something tapped his elbow and he tried to reach out a little bit early. But once he did that, he bobbled the ball, and right when he got to the goal line, the ball went flying through the goal line, and he went and tried to dive on it. They went back and looked at the replay, and it showed that he fumbled the ball before he crossed the end zone, so that returns into a touchback. The defense gets the ball, and they were able to keep the game close. They was able to keep the game close. They got another chance to get this secure this win, the coach that is. And Mitchell did another nutball job by holding somebody out there in the middle of the field when Jonathan Taylor broke for a 58-yard touchdown. So he cost them the game two times. And after that, the way that the game ended was even more worse was that they only had 10 men on the field for this last offensive possession. Well, offensive possession versus with the Rams out there, and it was 10 people out there. Stafford made a vet decision, hiked the ball real quick, lobbed it up to Tutu Atwell, and he broke for like a 70-yard touchdown. Daniel Jones throws a pick, and that game is over. So a big part of Mitchell, like he might not get any clock for a couple of games. I could see him benching him from costing him the game like that. versus a team that should be in the playoffs, as in the Rams. But Rams pull it off 27-20. Next game was the Bears versus the Raiders, another back and forth game. The Bears pull it off because the Raiders missed a key field goal to win the game. They missed at the end of the game. Caleb played okay. The Raiders defense was there. That rookie Ashton Gente, he had 3 touchdowns. I want to say 2 receiving touchdowns and 1 running touchdown. A big run at that, like 40+ yards. So he's starting to come alive and look like the rookie that everybody saw back in Boise State last year. Bears pulled out 25-24. Ravens and the Chiefs. This was scheduled to be a great game, a back and forth game, but it fell flat early in the game. I want to say like second quarter, the Chiefs was up like 20-7 or something like that. Yeah, they was up 2 scores, and Lamar Jackson ends up pulling his hamstring. He's out for the rest of the game. In comes Cooper Rush, and they just couldn't get it clicking. Derrick Henry had 4 carries in the first half. That is never a good sign. You got to feed that man. If he's back in that backfield, let him punish that defense and pick up the hard yards. And like I said, Lamar, you got to stop scrambling so much or trying to run so much and losing the ball. If you ain't got no hold on the ball, know when to go down. You can hear them boys heavy breathing trying to keep up with you. You got to know when to go down. But sometimes his mind is just set on scoring. He don't care how far he is away from a touchdown. He's just running out there. But Lamar, they said that he will be out for the next 2 to 3 weeks, I think like that. So Cooper Rush will have to lead his team to a couple of victories. Chiefs pull up the game 27-30. I don't really like talking about the Chiefs. 37-20, that is. Next game was a game that I had a concern about because this was a back and forth game. Had a great game. I thought that it would be a blowout. I thought Green Bay Packers was going to watch the Dallas Cowboys, but the Cowboys showed up with heart. They showed up with heart this game. This game ended up going to overtime and ended up being a tie. It was just a back and forth game. Bad defense on both sides. Parsons, they bottled him up for the most part. Every time he put pressure on Dak, it caused him to throw some funny passes, but he wasn't able to sack him until the end of the game on the game-winning drive that could have gave Dallas the win if Dak was able to run it in, but Michael Parsons was able to track him down and force them to kick the field goal, and it ended up being a tie. Now, my question to y'all that for y'all to watch the game is why are the NFL games still ending in ties? This should not even happen anymore. I know they switched the rules up, but in my opinion, I think they need to go back to old school way, and that is when you kick when it gets to overtime, whoever wins the coin toss is rewarded. Do you want to kick or receive? If you receive the ball, either way, when it gets to overtime, the person that scores first should win the game. You shouldn't get a second chance. The person that got scored on shouldn't get a chance to score. That's not how it is because you're being rewarded for getting the coin toss. So once that happens, they should just go down there. If you go kick a touchdown or a field goal, game should be over with. No game, because these games come back and hunt you later on in the season when you're a game out, and then it's like, oh well, you're a game out, but you already got a tie, so you're going to lose that battle, especially in the division. If you got a tie and somebody else has like 1 or 2 games more than you, you're going to always lose that battle. So I think that they need to look back into going back to the old school way and get away from this giving each team a chance to score type of crap because I said it doesn't. It's not benefiting anybody. A tie looks ugly on your record, especially this early in the season. It's going to cost a lot of people a game. But in the comments, let me know: are you okay with the way that the tiebreakers are now, or should it go back to the old school way? With that being said, the first person getting into the end zone or kicking a field goal wins the game. That's my vote. Next game was the 2 Monday night games. Jets and the Dolphins. The Dolphins pull off the win, 27-21. Prayers up to Tyreek Hill. He broke. It looked like he broke his kneecap. He got tackled on running out of bounds, and his knee like kind of twist, and his leg looked kind of twisted up. They ruled him out for the rest of the year, so that's going to be an ugly recovery to try to recover from because now like what you being one of the fastest in the league, you probably will never get back to that speed right there. And with him being up a little bit up in age, you think about it. If you're out for a whole year, well, for the remainder of this year and most likely next year, that's going to put you at like 33 years old, and most teams going to be looking at you like, all right, we're not paying you no top dollar. We know what your name is and that you don't want a Super Bowl and stuff like that, but we can't pay you that type of money right now. So this might be a career ender, man, but we'll see. All we can say is a speedy recovery to them. Miami did their thing by winning the game, the best of the two of the worst teams in the league. Um, other last game for Monday Night Football was the Bengals versus the Broncos. Bengals just look terrible, man. Anybody saying that Joe Burrow is overrated, if you look at the offensive line and you see how they folded with Browning back there, as soon as he hiked the ball, he got like 2 or 3 seconds to throw the ball. He's barely throwing for 100 yards out there, and he's getting sacked way too much. They're building their third string quarterback at this rate right now, but they need to pay an offensive line. If not, the Bengals will never get anywhere with that offensive line. Like it just looks terrible. I don't know how Brown is going to survive for the whole year. At some point, they're going to have to go and they might have to use some draft picks and trade for offensive line. A contract that's almost up that maybe they can get for a little cheaper. But the Broncos looked okay. They did their thing out there. They won 28-3. Last game I wanted to cover is my team saved the worst for last. I can't even say the best, but say the worst for last. We got blew out the water 26-0. This was actually a lackluster, boring game. Our first game with our new off the play caller, our QB coach, all he did was call dive, HB dive up the middle, play action, award, scrambling out, running for his life, trying to complete a pass, cross body. The defense, they didn't have 10 turnovers, 10 penalties this game. They had about maybe 5 or 6, but a lot of them was at the bad timing. And then, like, if they don't get a penalty, they're getting a big game put on them. Snead on 3rd and 22 got try to press Nico Collins, the same person he was talking crazy about that he don't know who he is, and he cooked him and gained that 22 yards, 25 yards to be exact. And that was just a deal breaker, man. After that point, it's like, dog, we was up. It was 6-0. They were up 6-0. We attempted 2 field goals, 44-yarder and a 41-yarder, and we missed both of them. Wide right, wide left. So Sly he's missed like 4 or 5 kicks in a row now. At some point, they're like, look, all right, you ain't got it in you no more. You're not a good kicker, man. If you're missing the easy ones, I understand you missing a 60 or 58-yard kick, but you can't be missing no 40-yard kicks like that. That's just uncalled for. But the game, like I said, at halftime it was 6-0. It was still a winnable game. Every opportunity we got, our offense just looked so flat. And then, like I said, the second half, the defense just pretty much gave up. Cam Ward threw a pick, bounced off of one of our rookies' hands, and it went to Stingley Jr. These other players, it was just like I said, the defense. Will Anderson was a little too much. Daniel Hunter was a little too much coming off the edge versus Moore and our other right tackle. That just like I said, they couldn't keep up with these dudes, man. And it's like I said, it's kind of embarrassing. I'm hoping that we get JT Latham back this week because we definitely need him. We need somebody to block for Cam Ward and give him time to throw the ball, but he needs to do a quicker read and stop waiting for somebody to get open. He literally has to throw somebody open. We are 0-4. We can't continue losing these games like this. Or if not, we're going to have the #1 draft pick. And who wants to come to Tennessee if we're going losing and getting the first round pick 2 years in a row? That's just a sign of a team that doesn't have the heart to play. Like, we're not playing with no heart, no compassion, nothing. We just out there looking embarrassed. Like, at one point we'll play good, but then the second half it's like we just tap out. Like, just we can't play football. So like I said, we got watched 26-0. I was hoping that was a game that we could have won with both of us being 0-3. It is what it is. We got Arizona Cardinals next day, 2-2. They're a huge favor over us with a 9-point spread. We'll talk about it on Thursday when I get in here with my predictions for Week 5. So thank y'all for tuning in to Meet You from the Midwest podcast for your NFL updates. I will get back in here on Thursday, and the video will be dropping Friday as I always do. Thursday night, Friday morning, the video will be dropping, and it'll be my predictions for Week 5. So thank y'all for tuning in. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the Meet You from the Midwest podcast on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and